In this video, I'm going to show you how to write direct variation equations given various situations. So we're going to jump right into some examples. We have a direct variation. We know that because it says direct variation in the problem, but then it gives us a y and an x. It says right here, it says 20 is y and x is 5. So the one thing you have to know is that direct variation problems can all be set up as y equals k times x. And if we have a y and an x, then we're going to go ahead and plug those in, and we get 20 equals 5k. Now I switched around the k and the x, and I only did that because I wanted the letters to come after numbers. And so now we have to ask ourselves, what would the k have to be to make that equation true? So we're going to divide both sides by 5, and we get k equals 4. Because 20 divided by 5 is 4. Now, that is not the answer, okay? That is our constant of variation, which is great, because we need to write our equation with y first. It says write the equation, not just write k equals 4, write y first. So y equals, and the way we write this is this part right here. So y equals 4x, just like that. So these follow a very simple pattern. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to plug in the y and the x. Remember that we have y equals kx is my standard form. And I'm going to put negative 16 equals negative 8 times k. And I'm going to divide both sides by negative 8. And I get k equals positive 2, which I have positive 2, but that's not my answer. My answer has to be y equals 2x, just like that. Here's another one, same setup. We have an x and a y. So we're going to say y equals kx, and we're going to substitute in the two things that we know. We know the x is 6, and we know the y is 60. I'm not even going to bother dividing both sides by 6, because hopefully you can see that that would end up being 10, right? The k has to be 10. Now all we have to do is write the equation. Y equals 10x. Where people usually get this wrong is they get excited and they put the answer as 10. Right? But the answer has to be the whole equation. You'll notice that these don't get much more complicated. Really, all that's happening is that our numbers are getting a little bit bigger. So when we do this problem, we're going to see 705 equals 3k, right? So I've just swapped in my y and my x, and I'm going to divide both sides by 3. And I end up with k equals, what's 705 divided by 3? That'd be something like 200 and something. It's less than 300, more than 200. Something like 235. So we are only making it more difficult if we don't have a calculator, because we could just type that in our calculator and get the answer. And the final answer has to be written as an equation of a line, which has a y and an x in it. Let's look at one more example. In a direct variation, this one is super difficult, right? Because look at this. Oh my goodness, it's got two fractions. But we're going to do the same thing we've done every single time, which means we're going to start with the y equals kx, and we're going to multiply those things together. But actually, we're going to do the reverse. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug in the 8 over 9 for the y, and then we have 8 over 3 for the x, and then we still have a k. At this point, people freak out because they're so trained to be afraid of fractions. But all we have to do is get both the fractions on the same side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by 3 over 8. Because what I'm doing is, by multiplying by 3 over 8, I'm able to cancel out 8/3 because I'm multiplying by the inverse, okay? So I multiply by 3/8 over there, and I'm going to multiply by 3/8 on this side too. Remember, the principal rule to algebra is that we have to do the same thing to both sides. There's very few things that we can not do as long as we do it to both sides. So we're going to go ahead and do that. If we do 3/8 times 8/3, this side cancels out. On the left side, we end up with 24 over, well, I'm going to simplify a little bit. I hope you don't mind. I noticed that the 8's canceled out, and that's going to make my life a little bit easier. 3/9 equals k, and so k equals 1/3. And it says simplify any fractions, so that's why I went ahead and took it all the way down that far. But again, if you stop here, you've done all the hard work and gotten the problem wrong, because our last step has to be to write it with y equals 1/3 x. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.